I'm Adrienne Enns, and I welcome you to the Intention Sessions podcast. I want to inspire our most intentional living. In each episode, we'll talk to remarkable individuals who will share their authentic journeys and their insights with us. They're going to remind us that life's complexities can be our greatest teachers, and that intentional living can be expressed in an infinite number of ways. I hope you find some inspiration for your most intentional life right here. Hi guys, it's Adrienne, and this is our 2020 wrap-up. Before I just hit record, I made some notes to keep me on track. And I was thinking, sometimes you start things and you just have an idea and you just get going because it feels like the right thing to do for whatever reason. And you just don't know where it's going to lead or what the outcome is going to be. And that's how I feel right now recording this, because I couldn't have imagined recording a wrap up. But I just wanted to share that it has been a tough year. It has been a lot for everyone. There's this incredible layer of stress added into all of our daily activities, let alone a global pandemic, so much chaos and upset and things bubbling to the surface that it's just remarkable to me. And throughout the whole year and my whole life, I keep saying, it's our intentional practices that really are our touchstone. It's what we come back to. It's what grounds us and supports us. So to me, our most intentional living means choosing how we're going to show up in this world. And many of you know my background, but I've only really been intentional for about 8 years, so a fraction of my life. And it was my recovery from addiction that just introduced me to this lifestyle. And it wasn't a grand introduction. It was just a choosing myself, choosing to like myself, first of all, and from there to love myself and be kinder to myself, and thinking, I've put so much energy into my own self-destruction. Imagine what I might be able to do if I put that energy towards good. And what if I, approached my life as a creation? Like, what do I actually want to create for myself? What kind of feeling states? What kind of day-to-day activities? What kind of work in the world? What kind of relationships? So it started very meagerly, just putting my one foot in front of the other, because that's all I could do at the first, because I was very, very fragile. But I was like, I'm okay. I'm here. And what's the next best thing that I can do to nourish myself? So I share this with you because this really is the seed of our most intentional living, is really like, while we're on this planet for a limited time, how do we want to show up? What legacy do we want? What do we want to contribute? And how can we create our most meaningful, fulfilling existence? And it has been my experience that it's all the simple things that we do every day. And sometimes we don't see, it's not transactional. We don't see an immediate payback. But we just keep doing it and we keep showing up, and it's just an incredible way to live. So that's why it is an honor and a privilege to share this with you. And this podcast came out of my most intentional living, in that when we were in the spring and the pandemic was upon us and we were in lockdown, I had to spend significant stretches of the lockdown on my own. And I thought, I've got my practices, but I need something, a creative project that's going to inspire me and stimulate me and keep my mind active and give me something to focus on. So knowing that will sustain me and keep me buoyant was the catalyst for this podcast. I'd been thinking about it for a long time. So the foundation had been laid, but it inspired me, and connecting with beautiful people was really, really a gift. And when I asked Robert Sturman, who I very much admire, he was the first podcast interview, if he would be game. Number one, he was very generous with his time. And we laughed because he said, of course, I've got no plans right now for the rest of my life. So while that could be a very daunting statement, there was a freedom in that and a reminder of just how uncertain things really, really are all the time. So that's where this podcast came from. And it's just been an absolute gift. We've had so many incredible guests. So if you have an opportunity to go back and listen, they were all very raw and authentic and vulnerable. And they just provide such nuggets of reality, inspiration, and wisdom. So I'm just incredibly grateful to all of them for their generosity of their time, but also of just sharing their experiences in such an authentic way. And I really learned a lot from all of them. So this project has also been for me in that I absolutely learn more about my own intentional living through each guest. Each of them, I'm like, I know they've got a great story, but there's more to learn here. So I am always learning with you. And I really wanted to bring a broad cross-section of people for this reason, because when I'm talking about our intentional living, I sometimes get the sense that people, and we've been conditioned to think this way in our culture, is like, what are the 5 steps? Or you're doing it this way. Do I need to do it this way? And I'm like, I can guide you. I want to share what I've learned so far, but nobody's an expert on this human experience. So introducing you to these guests, I want to illustrate that our most intentional living can manifest itself in so many different ways. Different people, different locations, different circumstances, different lessons. And how do we rise up to meet life's challenges and learn and grow and become resilient and turn into the very best versions of ourselves? And all of these guests and you are doing this all the time. So I just hope that maybe through, different voices, different experiences, there's something that really connects with you and inspires you to be intentional and create this incredible life that you are meant to create. I learned a lot about the rawness of the human journey. And it reminded me of, when I was in my early recovery, I was very ashamed of that. And I didn't want to talk about it, and I bottled it all up. And well, that had been a problem for a long time. It led to my numbing in the first place. And as I started to open up, I learned that when I share my story and my real struggles, it gives other people permission to do the same. And this is a beautiful point of our human connection when we are reminded that we're not alone, when we build these connections and we show up and share, we can all heal together. And I just think that's the beauty of this sharing, this seeing the beauty in another, this seeing that we are all one and we're all connected, and seeing ourselves in other people allows us to learn and grow. Another thing was the undercurrent of gratitude, of showing up, of seeing other people. And another thread that surprised me, but was this beautiful lesson, was this commitment to service. So when we are feeling down or alone, when we commit ourselves to helping others from a full cup and just reaching out to somebody else, there's incredible power in that. We've always seen that, but we're seeing it in the world right now, and the world absolutely needs more of it. So I just thought that that was a beautiful undercurrent reminder and lesson. So, as I alluded to just a few moments ago, these people are all people I admire immensely. And I just think their stories are so beautiful. And your story is also beautiful. So I want to remind you that, whether you ever share your story, out loud on some social media platform or whatever it may be, is irrelevant. But what we all need to do is take the raw material of our lives, these lessons, and live out the lessons. So, how you show up in the world, your love, your kindness, your gratitude, this impacts everybody in your immediate radius, and it ripples out to the world. And we need this right now, this love, this kindness, this gratitude. So don't underestimate the simple things that you are doing all the time, because they have this cumulative, transformative, and significant effect over time. So I thank all of the guests who so generously shared. And I also want to thank you, the listeners. I just love your feedback. I love your, hearing the stories of how this affected you, who you shared it with. You make this engine go. And I'm just incredibly grateful. I know everybody's time is limited, and there's, so many great podcasts, so much interesting content. So the fact that you are choosing to spend your time here is something I just appreciate incredibly. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your energy. I want to thank you for committing to your most intentional living. I know that you are all doing incredible things, and I'm honored and excited that we're in this community together. So I really, really thank you. And I'm also going to thank you by returning in February with a whole nother year of podcasts. This is the 2020 wrap up. I'm going to take a rest and rejuvenate and restore and cultivate an incredible lineup for you for next year. The other people that I want to thank, number one is Penny Cook. She is an incredible support to me. She is organized and smart and innovative, and she just got this smile that you can't help but smile back. And she is the one who keeps this all organized and distributes it to all of the listening platforms. So I just want to thank her. It's a pleasure to work with her, an absolute pleasure. And also to Matthew Robertson. He edits the episodes, and he is just this incredible, kind, thoughtful person. And he is also got this incredible ear. He will send me these notes. It's like, it sounds like you have it set up this way. And I'm like, how did you know? So he is always providing me with valuable feedback, always striving to make this a better experience for you, the listener. He's edited out, problems as they've arisen. So not only is he just great to work with, but he absolutely makes this podcast 1,000% better than I could ever do on my own. So it takes a village, and I'm just incredibly grateful for all of these collaborations. So with that, I just want to thank you again for listening. Oh, and I was going to mention this off the top. The artwork, the picture that I chose for this podcast is me in High Park in Toronto, a place that I go all the time to move around, get fresh air, clear my head, have some fun with my dog, Piper. She barked through most of the episodes. So I was just like, it never fails. She can ignore me for hours. And as soon as I hit record, she sees a squirrel. The mailman is coming and she wants you to know, where she wants to punctuate things. So this is real life. So there she is, and she's not barking today, of course, but just had a little bit of a good time with that. So, and on that, I just want to, also remind you that this intentional living is because we want to create a life that we love, that fulfills us, that brings us joy. And I want to remind you that the joy is in this moment. It's not for later. It's not for, when you hit that goal, meet that person, retire, or are on vacation, or whatever the case may be. It's right here. And you are worth it. And you can access it. You have to be in the moment. You have to be grounded. You have to look around and see what's available to you. And you have to be willing to open your heart and feel it. So I just want to remind you that however your intentional living looks, maybe it's pulling a card in the morning, maybe it's expressing gratitude. Maybe it's through a walk, talking with a friend, journaling, yoga, meditation, a run, dancing. It's whatever fills you up. And it's a place of creation energy. Where is the opportunity? What can I step into? How can I show up? I want you guys to have fun with it. I want you to be curious. I want you to explore, and I want you to have an adventure. So it's simple. I want you to keep going. And with that, there's nothing that you need outside of you. This can just be between you, and whatever tools you access, make them feel good. A lot of you use my cards. If you haven't checked them out, I do encourage you to do it. It's just a great practice tool. And for any of you that don't know or have heard about it, I also have the Intentional Days membership. This is subscription based. We talk about daily intention setting. We have master classes with people like the guests who have been on the podcast. It's a beautiful community. There's a library of resources. It's a great way if you want to be nudged. So if you're like, where do I start? How do I keep going? It's a great place. So I mention it to you because if you're seeking guidance, inspiration, a community, I would love to meet you there. I would love to support you there. But as I said, these are all tools. It's a few tools that are available to you, but you will find the right tools for you. So invite them in, be curious, explore, because as I said, it's simple. It's already within you, but it is also fun to join a community to know that we're not alone. So a big, wild, joyful thank you. And let's find a place in our hearts to express some gratitude for 2020, to notice what lessons came up for us, and to decide what we're going to let go of. And I invite you to think about 2021, this moment, this day, this week, this next year, and what you want to create and connect with that energy. I'm honored to be along for the ride, And I just want to say thank you. And I wish you joy. I wish you adventure. I wish you health. I wish you well-being. And I wish you an incredible 2021. Thank you for listening. May some of the wisdom shared here inspire your most intentional living. For more information about this episode, this podcast, intentional living, and my work in the world, please visit mayyouknowjoy.com. You can also find my May You Know Joy and Seeds of Intention cards there, and my book, Intentional Days. You'll also find details for the Intentional Days membership, where you can gain access to a thriving community of intentional souls and lots of regular inspiration. I've got you covered. Until next time, I wish you great joy and many intentional days.